few cities can claim a heritage of priceless art and history such as Venice. This unique city, with its magical, spectacular scenery, is not just beautiful. It is a true miracle of creative genius. A city built on the mud, sand, and slime of a difficult, inhospitable landscape. Venice is the symbol of wise government and freedom. The lagoon was its only defense. There were no palace guards except the arsenal workers, and no parade ground except the sea. During centuries of feudalism and barbarism, Venice symbolized democracy and civilization. Venetian origins are on water. It was in the lagoon, this noble landscape formed by tides and currents, that from the 6th century AD, inland populations threatened by barbarian invasions took refuge. The fall of the Roman Empire had opened the Italian gates to invading hordes, so the inland people saw the lagoon as their last hope for survival. Here, the sea floor was continually evolving, and an invisible canal network made navigation possible only for those who knew its intricate path. But it wasn't until after the year 1000 that Venice began to stand out as an economic and military power, dominating sea trade, its ships able to navigate from southern Russian rivers to the French coasts. Great sailing ability and efficient economic organization of the trading companies were just two of the factors that made the Venetian navy great. To guarantee itself supremacy of the sea, Venice had to be able to count on a third factor, just as important: the ability to build its own ships. At first, Venetian ships were built in small private workshops. Then, around the year 1200, these businesses were grouped into one single public shipyard, the arsenal. This huge structure employed designers, shipwrights, and other specialized workers. The arsenal workers, the so-called arsenalotti, were a community apart in the city, the depository of a precious heritage handed down from generation to generation and jealously protected. The drawing of the arch, that is, the design of the ship's hull profile, a very difficult operation, was done by the proto, the arsenal's true authority. The ship's success at sea depended on this stage, and it required great experience. The shipyard organization was highly advanced, with work shared out among different sectors, quality control of raw materials, standardization of many manufacturing stages, and even history's first assembly line. This complete, self-sufficient manufacturing cycle allowed the building of up to 3 large ships a day and guaranteed real superiority for Venice. Basilica of San Marco overlooks one of the most beautiful squares in the world, a true marble salon, the city's center for centuries. Next to both the basilica and the Doge's palace, all the most important religious and civil ceremonies have always been held there, and now the Piazza San Marco is considered the city's main symbol and tourist attraction. This great square overlooking the water is a mixture of spaces and styles. The Procurator's residence, the Bell Tower, the Doge's palace, and the Sansoviniana bookshop. But the mightiest of Venetian monuments, the one that really shows the greatness of Venice, is undoubtedly the Basilica of San Marco. It was built over several centuries, frequently transformed and enriched with precious treasures, often from the Far East. Its architecture, a mixture of Byzantine, Roman, and Venetian, is the work of artists and craftsmen coming from all over the world. It can be considered a true laboratory, a living organism, developing and transforming over the centuries. The Basilica's Byzantine Moorish style is a reminder of Venice's centuries-old relationship with the East. Venice has always been linked to the Byzantine Empire. In fact, it almost became part of it. And even when Venice became an independent marine republic, it maintained trading and cultural relations with the East. But what surprises about Venice, now as in the past, is its impressive building structure, a city built entirely on water. For centuries, the Venetians slowly and stubbornly insisted on recovering even the smallest bit of land from the water. From the very start, building the city was a true engineering miracle, due not only to the skill and intelligence of its builders, but also to the nature of the place itself. Venetian buildings were built on a system of wooden poles buried in mud. First, long wooden poles were driven into the mud until they reached hard, firm ground. On these pilings, wooden planks were layered crosswise to obtain a more stable structure, distributing weight evenly on all the poles. On this base, a brick or marble structure was built. They were true pile dwellings. Some buildings had instability problems and are still visibly crooked today. But on the whole, this building technique proved to be lasting and effective. It is right here, as a floating city, that the myth of Venice's exceptional nature has flourished over the centuries. What makes Venice really unique worldwide, even more so than its unequaled art, history, and cultural heritage, is water. The element it was born on, and which, paradoxically, now threatens to destroy it. But to what did Venice owe its greatness? At a time when travel was difficult and risky, the Venetians sailed just about all over the known world on powerful, safe ships. Marine Venice's golden period ended when trading routes and sailing techniques changed, and Venice went from being a sea trading city to one of crafts and, above all, art. Its coat of arms, like those of the other seagoing republics, Genoa, Amalfi, and Pisa, still appears on the Italian Navy's flag as a permanent reminder of its glorious sea-dominating past.